Should be good on YouTube. Like to take a few seconds here before we are live on Instagram.
Let the people join in. Let the
Let
people
me join
join
in.
in.
Here we are going live on Insta. Awesome. So welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Insider Betting, where we give you guys our best picks and predictions for UFC Miami this week. UFC 314, Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. It's your boy, Cody Talks IF, also known as Cody Uchalak. That's my real name. This is my partner, Adam Fishkin. We're going to give you guys our best bets, best predictions, our locks for UFC 314. Starting off with Jim Miller versus Chase Hooper, the legend versus the prospect, the young newcomer versus the old veteran. Jim Miller, man, 38-18. He just came on Inside Fighting. He had an interview in Miami with Mike Owens where he just said he wants to get to 40 wins. He's at 38. He wants to get to 40. He wants to get to 50 fights in the UFC. So I think that's pretty amazing. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't. Chase Hooper is like the new prospect in the UFC. Legend killer in a sense. Like he submitted Clay Guda. Borshev, he had a great submission win over in the second round. So he's on some momentum. I think he gets an early submission over Jim Miller in this one.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one. I mean, props for Jim Miller for wanting to make it to 40 wins and 50 fights. I think 50 fights he doesn't no problem. 40 wins, maybe a little bit of problems. I was actually there for his fight. I think it was Damon Jackson at UFC 309 in New York, and I had high hopes for Jim Miller, but I didn't think he was gonna win in the first round like he did. Like he looked like a dog in that fight. Chase Hooper is no Damon Jackson, though. Chase Hooper's got 8 submissions and his 15 wins. I really do think that Chase Hooper is next up here. He obviously hasn't fought anyone too crazy. You mentioned Clay Guda there, but I do think Jim Miller is a bit of a more gatekeeper status than Clay there. And will be a good challenge for Chase Hooper. But yeah, I do think that Chase Hooper is going to win. And I do think he's going to get the submission as well. He's riding a 3 submission win streak. 2 of them in the first round, 1 of them in the second round. So he's pretty legit.
No, yeah, there's levels. And man, Chase Hooper has shown and proven that he could get these finishes in the UFC, which a lot of upcomers just don't go for finishes. He's also just always hungry looking for the finish. So I think I like that about him. He's a fun fighter to watch, although he does take you to the ground and look for a bunch of submissions. He's active on the ground. He's not just laying there holding you. So like if he does get Jim Miller down or Jim Miller wobbles him and they fall to the ground, I do see Chase Hooper getting the best of that exchange. I also got to not run into him, but I saw Chase Hooper in UFC Seattle, which was pretty cool. He was just walking in the aisle there, and I dabbed him up. I said, yo, you're going to F up Jim Miller. So I just got to ride on him for that as well. We're locked. We're like this.
Fucking homies.
Yeah. So let's go to the next fight on the prelims here. We got Yan Zanan versus Verna Jadaroba. And Yan is somebody who I was hot on when I first looked at this fight. I was like, she looked competitive versus Wei Li in that fight. Although she didn't win, she got dominated pretty much. She had moments in that fight, all right? So she looked okay against the GOAT in that division. So she also has a win over Tabitha Ritchie. So she has a win over Jessica Andrade, knocked her out. She beat Mackenzie Dern. You know what I'm saying? She's beat these bigger names in the division. Now, Verna Jandiroba, every time I bet against this chick, she wins. She's on a 4-fight winning streak. She's got a lazy eye. It throws me off. I'm like, how does this chick be like, how is she a good fighter? But she's just strong grappling, dude. Strong grappling. She'll throw some exchanges and then she'll fucking get you down and she'll submit you. So I'm rooting for Verna on this one. A very wise woman told me in Vegas, her name's Samantha. You may remember her. She said, don't bet against the streak. So I'm not going against the streak here. Verna's on a 4-fight win streak. I'm riding it. I think she should be in title contention by the end of the year. This fight might throw her into the number 1 contender spot. Who knows?
Yeah. No, I think you broke that down well. I think, Samantha's the GOAT, by the way. She was our dealer at a baccarat table, and she said, never bet against the streak.
Never
after
ever.
we bet against the streak a few times and lost. But I literally think we lost like 5 in a row when that happened. She's like, "Don't bet against the streak," and I was like, "Man, you should have fucking told us
The boys were losing some money.
before we lost $200."
The boys were.
Yeah, it was brutal. But no, I think Verna's the real deal. I do think Zhao Yan, that's a tough name, dude. They always are.
Yeah.
It is really solid as well. But Verna's got she's on a win streak. She's been some really good names recently, being Amanda Lemos, Lupita Godinez, Angela Hill.
Loopy, that's right.
She is a little bit of a decision merchant, but she does have a submission win in her last fight in the second round. So a submission is live. But I don't know what the over under for rounds is, but I'm probably rocking the over.
Yes.
But yeah, before we move on to the next fight, if you're new here, we go live every single Thursday, insider betting. We break down we don't break down the entire card. We break down the fights you care about and the main card, because nobody cares about those early prelims. But yeah, comment, like, subscribe, help us keep our jobs. And yeah, let's go to the next fight, go.
And go follow Cody Talks IF if you don't already.
IF, come on.
Already. I'm actually planning a giveaway. If we do hit one of these parlays, I'm gonna do a giveaway on my page for like $100. So make sure you give me a follow, man, because we're hitting this weekend. I'm pretty confident about it.
We got all the locks this week, bro.
I'm feeling good about these 2 picks that we just did. So I feel good with Verna. And Chase Hooper for sure is a lock in my books. And I do like him by finish as well. Last fight on the prelims. It's a good one. Dan Ige versus Sean Woodson. Dan Ige's got the credit in the UFC community as like a dog, as a hungry fighter. Like he took the Diego Lopes fight on hours notice, like less than 24 hours notice. So
I think it was 3 hours was the official stat.
3 hours?
I think so. 3 or 4, something like that.
So to show up and fight Diego Lopes, who's now fighting for the featherweight title, and have the performance that he did, although he did lose that fight. Again, he had great moments, 67 total strikes to 90 total strikes, 42 significant strikes to 49 significant strikes. So like it was a very competitive brawl. And then he lost a decision to Leon Murphy before that. And we just saw what Leon Murphy did to Josh Emmett. So, I mean, he knocked out Damon Jackson before that, got a decision win before that. So he's a good fighter. You know, it's just kind of when he gets this step up in competition, he loses a decision. So I think 29-28 is a great decision win for Sean Woodson here. This guy is massive for his division. Used to actually be a heavyweight. This guy is tall. He is lanky. He's got the reach by 18 centimeters reach advantage. So like that is very significant. So I think he's going to keep him at range, use his kicks, kick the shit out of his leg, land some good teeps, defend the takedowns, outstrike him each round, win a close decision here. I feel confident in Sean Woodson in this one. 13-1, like his record's a little better. He's got momentum coming off of the knockout. So I like Sean Woodson. I think he's been looking good, and he's a freak athlete, man.
Yeah, and I've been really enjoying watching Sean Woodson fight recently, and he's been on a bit of a tear recently. What is this, like a 7 fight unbeaten streak, 4 fight win streak? He had a draw in there with Luis Saldana, but yeah, I like Sean Woodson. I do like Dan Ige as well. Dan Ige is a bit of a dog, you know. He doesn't get finished. Thank you, Alan. You're the fucking man. I like your channel too, man. No, Dan Ige, he's a dog. So one thing that caught my attention for Dan Ige is he's a good friend of Mike Owens, who's the head reporter on Inside Fighting here. He does basically all of our interviews, and him and Dan Ige are actually really good friends. I think they went to UFC 300 together, if I'm not mistaken, in Vegas. And Dan Ige flew Mike out, like they're boys, you know. And Mike Owens is in Miami this week for the card, and he said Dan Ige does not want to talk to anyone. So Dan Ige is super locked in, and he's taking this fight a lot more seriously. I think he takes all his fights seriously, but obviously with like a short notice, that's kind of unserious, you know. So you don't get to prep for that as well. But I think he's taking this fight really seriously. I think he thinks he can win very well. Going up against a guy like Leon Murphy, who's undefeated in the UFC. I think he was 6-0 when he fought Dan Ige in the UFC. You go into that fight hoping you can win, but you know that you're going up against a very good opponent. Where I think with Sean Woodson, he might think he's coming up against an even opponent. I do see a decision win. I do see it being 29-28, and I don't know who to pick. I think it's going to be a very close fight. I don't think anyone's getting finished here. But I think it'll be a really entertaining fight to open up the main card, or to lead into opening up the main card.
Yeah. Sean Woodson in his last fight, it was against Charles Jourdain. I thought Charles Jourdain looked good in that first round. That's the second round. I want to take a look at the total strikes here. Yeah, 78 to 102. So like Sean Woodson does get hit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a matter of will he be able to keep that distance? Like if Dan Ige is constantly pressuring him, he's going to be on his back foot the whole fight. He's gonna have to start walking forward to Dan Ige as well. You know, he can't just be on his back foot the whole fight. So I think if he could do
100%,
that,
he's gonna have to put up the pressure, but that's almost impossible to do against someone like Danny Ige. Like he's just like relentless in that sense.
yeah, it's hard to win a decision against Dan Ige. Like this guy will switch the takedowns. He'll take you. He'll grind you against the cage. Like he'll land some big bombs that might hurt you and might show you get hurt. So the judges take that into account. So I understand the underdog bet. And when I was looking at the line here, I was like, I don't know. I like Dan Ige. Before my early prediction on this, I was like Dan Ige 50K bonus, bet it, feel good about it. But Sean Woodson's on one right now, looking too good, looking too sharp.
Yeah. And he doesn't lose. Like he's got one loss on his record. Yo, we got the studio coming apart, bro.
It's 8.
Yeah, fuck.
Carry on.
There you go.
Yeah, let's hop into the main card.
Yeah, Alan agrees with what you were saying there about Sean Woodson.
Awesome.
Gotta give him a shout out here.
Let's go, Alan. But yeah, I feel confident so far with my picks. I'm rocking all of these in a parlay so far. So I got
we're going strong.
I got a good prelim parlay going, and I believe in it. I believe in it more than I believe in my main card parlay. I'll tell you that for free.
Hell yeah. We got Nikita Krylov taking on Dominic Reyes. It's going to be a super interesting fight. You got Dominic Reyes, who took a 2-year layoff and is now on a 2-fight win streak since coming back, beating – who did he beat there? He beat Anthony Smith and Dustin Jacoby since being back in the UFC. He definitely doesn't look like his old self, but he does look good. But he's going up against Nikita, who is coming off of a 2-year layoff. So this is his first fight back. Nikita is going into this the favorite. He's minus 175 to plus 145. And I was actually a bit shocked by those odds. I think it's going to be a really close fight. I think it's going to be an entertaining fight. And I've seen a lot of critics say that Nikita's going to win this, but I'm actually going with the underdog with Dominic Reyes. I don't think he's making a title run anytime soon, but I do think that he's in a really good mental spot, which helps you to win fights. And I got Dominic Reyes taking the win here. And it's probably going to be by finish, I'd assume.
Yeah. Okay. Not mad at that. I'm not the biggest fan of either of these fighters. I do like Dominic Reyes. He has great confidence. I mean, he was confident against John Jones. It seems like he comes into every fight with a new sense of confidence. And after his knockout win, I'm sure he's feeling himself a little bit. Even in his post-fight interview after that knockout, he was feeling himself a lot. So he's excited to get back into the ring. And I'm sure he's looking for a knockout in this one. I just think Krylov's a little level or two above him. I mean, you look at the competition that he's lost to. He's only lost to Magomed Ankalaev. He's lost to Glover Teixeira, Jan Blachowicz, the big contenders in the division. And I don't think Dominic Reyes is that. So, I mean, I'm looking at the shape. Look at the build of these two fighters. One looks a little more hungry than the other. And I think that's Nikita Krylov. Again, early on, my early prediction for this was Dominic Reyes knockout again. Well, I find it interesting you said that Dominic Reyes took 2 years off, came back and got 2 knockout victories. Nikita Krylov took 2 years off. Now he's going to come back and he's going to get a knockout victory here. That's how I see it going. I think it's going to happen early. Dominic Reyes he doesn't eat shots like he used to, man. He's getting up there in age now, 35. I don't feel confident putting my money on Dominic Reyes ever. I'd feel a lot better betting on Krylov here. I like that he's the favorite. I think it makes sense. I think Krylov by finish early. maybe less than 1.5 rounds.
Yeah. Yeah, just Krylov leaving and coming back just makes no sense to me. Like, I don't think he was injured or anything, and he was on a 3-fight win streak, so he just took time off to take time off, which you don't know if it's a mental thing, and then, like, if it is a mental thing, is he coming back strong? Did
Yeah.
he just, like, lose the love of fighting and now needs, like, money, let's say, like, you just never know with these guys, so
There's
it's
questions.
tough. Like, I wouldn't pick either of these guys, really. It's just a tough pick here because, yeah, they're both not who they used to be, you'd assume.
There's
But
question
yeah,
marks here, but I don't see it going to the decision at all.
I agree.
I
Alan's
think it's
got to
going to
go.
end
We
by
miss you already, Alan,
miss him.
unfortunately.
But I do see this
Um,
one ending by finish. So I like
I
under
like the finish
1.5,
play.
under 2.5.
Yeah.
But I also like Krylov knockout for plus 350. That's what I have in my parlay. So let's go.
Yo, Rogue is back. We winning big this week? We are. We win
Bro,
big every week. Come on, brother.
I'm probably making like 20K.
I told y'all about Sabatini. You're right. You're right. I actually do remember that.
Yeah, you did. My bad, bro.
Last week with some rough picks, I feel like.
Sabatini
Some good
just
ones, though. Some good ones, too.
washed Joe Anderson Brito, bro. I thought Joe Anderson Brito was alive for knockout until he was on his ground on his back for 15 minutes for the whole fight.
Until
So
he wasn't it.
yeah, it was like, I can't wait. My parlay is so live. And then watching that fight, just so dead. Because I had Joe Anderson Brito by knockout, and I would have won like 3K. So
Damn.
yep,
Damn.
yep,
It's how she goes. It's how she goes.
yep.
Are you streaming tomorrow? No, not tomorrow, but we'll be streaming Saturday. Cody Talks will be.
I'll
He'll
be
be live
streaming
for
on
the main
Saturday
card, I
watching
believe.
the fight. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Brito looks scary, but the tattoos can be deceiving. True,
Yeah.
man. It's
He
true.
was coming off some good things, so I thought he was going to carry the momentum, but
Yeah.
nope. Let's carry on to the next fight here.
Next fight here. So I don't know. Fight doesn't go is a lock. Yeah, I agree. Definitely like a finish in that last fight, 100%. Brito should have been training more, not backlinking his entire arm. Like Black King. You gotta get those mods, They do them in 2K.
Yeah, dude. Once these fighters get a bunch of BC, they start tattooing Lord on their chest. So it's like,
yeah. I've seen this card be the co-main. I've also seen not the co-main. I've seen it be the feature fight. I've also seen it be like the fourth or the second fight on the main card. I don't know where it's listed right now, but right now on the UFC website, it's the fourth. Bryce is this week. Sabatini. People forget, man.
No. Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Jean Silva might be my favorite fight in the UFC, and I think a lot of people can agree to that right now. I think just with the fight nerds in general, people just love to see him win because all they've been doing is win. Bryce Mitchell, on the other hand, might be the most hated fighter in the UFC at the moment, and everybody wants to see him get folded, and I'm included in that category there. Very much a striker versus grappler matchup. Jean Silva is coming to the fight with 12 knockouts and 15 wins. All 4 of his UFC wins have been by knockout as well. Bryce Mitchell is coming off of a surprising knockout win, his first knockout win ever, I think, against Kron Gracie of all people, which is what you kind of expect. And that was after he got folded by Josh Emmett. I do think that Bryce Mitchell is going to win a round here. I think he's going to sit on top of Jean Silva, probably land to the round. I don't think he's going to get a submission. Jean Silva has great takedown defense at 80%. Jean's going to do whatever he can to keep this fight on the feet. He's Brazilian. He's got the BJJ background. It's obviously not as good as Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell is an absolute dog when it comes to his submission game and getting people to the ground. But I do think Jean Silva's got this. I think we're going to see a knockout. I think it's going to be a bad knockout because that's what Jean does. And yeah, the one thing to watch out for is Jean Silva has not been taken down in his last 2 fights, but going up against Charles Jourdain, he got taken down 3 times against a guy with a 21% takedown accuracy. So not too great there, but he's looked good since, Do I think the odds make sense? I don't think the odds make sense at all. I think this is a pick 'em. It's 50-50. It could go either way. Jean Silva being a 2-1 or Bryce Mitchell being a 2-1 dog is pretty nuts in my opinion. But I do have Jean Silva winning this one.
Wow. Okay. I think it's going to be impossible for Bryce Mitchell to win a round because he's going to get knocked out here in the first. All right. I believe it. I mean, when I'm looking at Bryce Mitchell, he has a win over Edson Barbosa. So like maybe Gene Silva versus Edson Barbosa before this fight could have been like good to like build this one up a little more to see how Gene Silva really is against these top people in his division. Like he's finally getting a ranked opponent here. But I also think 13th is a great way to get yourself in top 15 with his momentum coming off of 4 knockouts. Like I think he does it again here, man. I saw him in person in Seattle. Dude looked amazing. He fought what was his name? Malizik Bagdasarian. But man, let me tell you that guy was getting off shots on Gene Silva. Like it was honestly like Gene Silva looked hittable in that fight. So I mean, we're saying everyone's looking at this fight. Oh, Bryce Mitchell is just going to take him down and wrestle the fuck his way into a decision here. I don't think so. I think it will take Bryce Mitchell having to hurt Gene Silva to get him to the ground. I don't think he's just going to clinch him up, double leg, slam him to the ground, take his back, and submit Gene Silva. I literally cannot see that happening in any world. But I can see a bunch of different variations of Gene Silva knocking him out, maybe with a knee, maybe with a spinning attack, maybe with an elbow. What scares me about this is Gene Silva. He's like, he'll get excited when he starts hitting you. He'll hit you and he'll be like, I gotcha. And then he'll like look to like high five him or like do some antics in the ring where he's going to be talking. He'll be barking at Bryce Mitchell during this fight. You know what I'm saying? And Bryce is just going to be pissed off. Bryce isn't going to touch gloves at the center. This is my prediction. They're going to go to touch gloves. Like Gene Silva's going to go touch gloves. Bryce Mitchell's going to say, fuck out of here with that. Run to go do a double leg or something, just like Ben Askren versus Jorge Masvidal. Gene Silva's going to enjoy the moment. Knee him to the head. Knockout first 20 seconds of the fight, Gene Silva. That's my prediction.
No, but you're right. I hope Gene Silva does that thing where he like grabs the cage backwards and fucking gets up there and just starts fucking yelling. Like that'd be sick.
He's gonna
like
have
Bryce. That's gonna get in Bryce Mitchell's head. He's gonna be like, "Oh, it's the demons coming after me" or some shit.
Yeah, dude.
It's gonna be fun. Quick shout out to Cameron Michael in our chat as well. I'm 8 years old. I'm the youngest ring announcer in the world. I will be on ESPN August 1st. Respect. 8-year-old.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah,
that's hard work, dude.
Yeah. Pretty nuts.
Stay consistent in that, bro.
100%. 100%.
That's badass.
But I got Gene all the way. I don't think I got him first round knockout. I would love for it to happen. Like I would love, and in the best way possible, because I don't want him to like give Bryce Mitchell brain damage, but I would love for him to get folded like Josh Emmett did to him, you know? Like would be fucking cherry on top.
Yeah, you said it's kind of a pick 'em, like you don't understand the odds, and I think you're right with that. Like Bryce Mitchell is coming off of a knockout win, you know. So is Gene Silva,
Yeah.
but Bryce Mitchell is too. It's just like Kron Gracie is not any level of a striker at all. So if we're like giving him points against Gene Silva, who's coming off of 4 knockouts, when I think Kron Gracie was coming off of a crazy losing streak himself, like, you know what I'm saying? Like
100%.
I do think Gene Silva gets another finish here, and I do think it catapults him into the top 15.
For sure. And like Bryce Mitchell, besides Edson Barbosa, like he's built his career off of losing to big guys.
Yes.
You know, losing to Ilia Topuria, I think he lost to Evlev as well, right?
Yep.
So like that, and not just losing them, but giving him a fight, you know, and then losing to him. So he hasn't demonstrated that he can keep up with these top opponents, and I think. But neither is Gene Silva, obviously. But I do think that Gene Silva is going to get the knockout here.
Yeah, what's brought up a lot is like how Bryce Mitchell did against Ilia Topuria. That's brought up all the time. But I literally think Gene Silva, a few more knockouts, if he gets into the top of this division, Ilia drops back into featherweight, that fight could still happen. It's not an impossible fight to happen.
I think we got to see more of Gene Silva. Like we just got to see that he's more well-rounded. You know, right now he's known for his striking. He's knocking people out, but we got to see that he can do it all to be able to put him in a category. Because right now I look at both of these fighters and they're fun to watch. They're contenders, but they're not champions. You know, neither of these guys at the moment.
Test. Yeah. That's the test.
Yeah. Feature fight of the night. We got Yair Rodriguez taking on Patricio Pitbull. Pitbull, if you're a UFC fan and not an MMA fan in general, you might not know who Patricio Pitbull is. So we'll start there. He's coming from Bellator, former champion. He's actually had, I believe, 17 championship fights over at Bellator. He wants to hug his opponent and stuff like that. Yeah, something like that. But Patricio Pitbull is making his UFC debut at 37 years old. He's coming in an old fucker, kind of like MVP. He's coming into the UFC on pretty bad form as well. He's only got 3 wins in his last 5. And he's got his last fight's a win, but you really wouldn't really recognize any of the people he's fought except for his loss against Sergio Pettis. Yair Rodriguez is arguably coming in on worse form, only getting 2 wins in his last fight and being on a 2-fight losing streak to Brian Ortega and Volkanovski. And then the 3rd fight he lost was against Max Holloway. So all extremely respectable opponents. I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I think that if Pitbull can come in with high pressure, try to take down Yair a couple of times and just keep up the intensity and bring the fight to him, he can win this fight. At the same time, though, he's 37 years old. I don't know if he's got the tank like that. He's definitely out of his prime. And I just don't know if he can keep up the pressure. I think in the past, or more recently, what we've seen him do is just kind of try to pick his shots, land some good ones, maybe take it to decision, try to get the knockout. I think Yair is better than that. I think Yair is going to try to fight his fight. And if he can stick to the game plan, I got Yair Rodriguez winning. But these fights are always tough because Patricio's entire career is built off of beating guys in Bellator who are nobodies, as good of a fighter as he is. He's beaten Michael Chandler. He's had some good wins, but the level of opponents in the UFC versus Bellator, except for the top guys, is like such a far gap that you don't really know what these guys look like against the real deal, especially when you're coming against Yair Rodriguez, who's ranked 5th in the division,
Exactly. No, I'm happy we got to see these guys in Las Vegas when we were out there. They did the UFC 314 press conference while we were in Vegas for UFC 313. And the pop that Yair got from the fans and just like how good he looked, how healthy he looks. He had his girlfriend there. He's a confident man. Dude, I think he's going to do it easy. I think he's going to get an easy cruise control victory here. Patricio's Pitbull's, his key to victory here is wrestling. And I just think in his debut, he's not going to pull a Torres Finney. He's not just going to go shoot a double leg for 15 minutes in this one. So I think Yair is going to open him up, land the kicks again, maybe hurt him to the body with a kick or a spinning kick or something to the body, really lay on a lot of damage to Pitbull. I think he's going to come out of this fight being like, holy shit, I don't know how many more fights I got in me. And I definitely don't think he's going to win and beat Volk, then go on to fight Volk and have this championship arc that he's planning on. I feel confident Yair by decision here.
I like really, Yair by decision.
Yeah. Like really, really confident. It's in every parlay
breakup. Yeah, I don't think they're together anymore. She definitely wasn't at the presser.
No, yeah, she wasn't.
That chick.
I mean, former Mexican champ. I believe, dude. He's seen the best of the best in the UFC in his division. Patricio Pitbull is another name that if he gets knocked down, he has potential to like be one of the greats in this division. If he could beat Pitbull, say he goes on to be the number 1 contender, wins that fight, gets the title. It's a better story, I think, than Pitbull coming from Bellator and winning this and then going on. I think let's bring Yair back up. He's good for business.
Yeah, we got Ian in the IG comments asking who we got. We both got Yair for this fight. It's going to be an interesting one. Alexa always going for the top dog, Mexicano, LOL.
When I first saw this fight, I was like, give me the Pitbull. But now I just don't feel good on the Pitbull, man. Henry Cejudo lost.
Neither do I.
His coach isn't like, I don't want to roast his coach, but his fighters are losing. And I think he's just going to lose this fight, man. I don't.
Yeah.
He's durable though. Like, I don't think he gets chinned and gets knocked out. Might get hurt to the body, but I don't think he gets knocked out.
Yeah, I saw some people calling out that if Yair wins, he should fight for the belt next. Yeah. I feel like that's you think that's fair?
There's Movzar. There's other people that could fight for the belt. I think and nobody's had to test Pitbull yet, right? Like Pitbull's new to the division, so I don't know. It depends on what kind of performance he has. If he goes out there and lands a fucking crazy first round knockout, yeah, give him a title shot. Fuck it.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like
him versus Lopes would be a crazy fight.
him versus Lopes would have made sense. I feel like Lopes fighting for the belt is a blessing for Lopes because
Oh,
I don't
oh
think he
yeah.
was ready for it yet. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We got as an Aaron in the group chat or in the IG comment saying alaikum, alaikum salam. Where
Salaikum salam.
uh, it's alaikum salam. No S at the beginning. Yeah,
Yes,
that's how you
brother.
respond to someone who says salam alaikum. You flipping on him.
Salaikum
Yeah,
salam.
no, it's an interesting fight. I don't think Yair Rodriguez deserves a championship fight for winning this. He's coming off of 2 losses. He's got to get a couple more. And as
Give
much
him
as I don't want
Lerone
that boy to be
Murphy.
champion, Lerone Murphy would be a fun fight. That would make sense.
Give
And
him
if he
Gene
wins that,
Silva.
then you can say he deserves it.
Okay, Gene Silva probably a stretch, but yeah.
Gene Silva, I don't know, because Bryce Mitchell's that guy who's like, yeah, he's 13th, but he's he can be in that top 10. You know, he just had a couple bad losses, but
That's
he's
true.
that type of level of talent. Anyway, co-main event. Who's your 5-star pick for the total card? We'll give you our 5-star pick at the end of this. We got 2 more fights to go, but we'll run through it. You'll get a few right now. Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett is the co-main event of the night. This might be the most fun fight just because Michael Chandler's in it. Michael Chandler, I saw him in a UFC 309 in New York. I actually had really high hopes for him in New York. I thought he was going to do a little bit of something against Charles Oliveira. I was blinded by the end of their first fight where Michael Chandler had a little bit of a bright moment there, and I thought he was going to be able to do the same in the second fight. He didn't do any of that. It looks like he didn't follow the game plan at all. It looks like at this point, Michael Chandler isn't here to win fights, just here to entertain the fans and get big money fights, which I 100% respect. Paddy Pimblett, he's the real deal. He's 6-0 in the UFC, I believe. He's coming off of a submission win against Bobby Green. He's super well-rounded. He's good on the feet, arguably even better once he gets on the ground. He doesn't take you down often, but when he does, he's great there. But he'll keep it up on the feet. I think it's going to be an entertaining fight. I do think Paddy Pimblett's going to win. I think he's really good. Paddy's another one of those guys. Paddy clips him on the feet and might even sub him. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. He might drop him and then sub him, kind of like he did with Bobby there. But I don't see Paddy being like a championship star, not yet. Maybe beating Michael Chandler will put him a step closer. He's a contender for sure, but I think he's just a person out here to entertain. Going to be a close fight. Going to be a good fight. I got Paddy Pimblett at -148, but I do hate picking against Michael Chandler because I do think he's really good. I just think he's getting older, and I don't think he cares about a title run anymore. I think he thinks it's past for him now. So I think he's just here to have a good time and put on a fun fight.
Iron Mike, dude. Iron Mike. Maybe one of the more healthier fighters in the UFC. Like I just saw this guy on Instagram today. He had like a stack of vitamins that he took, which was literally like 2 handfuls. He just stuffed it all in. And I don't think Paddy Pimblett's like taking his health that serious. You know, we always see him after his fights bulking up like 30, 40 pounds off of eating the most crazy desserts and food that you've ever seen in your life. So if I'm going just based off like the healthier, more active, fighting better competition fighters, and things like that, I'd take Michael Chandler, but I'm not going off of that. I think I'd take the more crafty, new prospect guy over the more dirty veteran fighter guy who's got his old little tricks and things that he does to get in a fighter's head while they're fighting, like grabbing their glove or grabbing the cage ever so slightly or poking them or stuff like Chandler fights like that, dude. He fights like that. He's a little annoying to deal with, but Pimblett is so crafty. We've seen what he did against Bobby Green when he shot that and then fell on top of him and locked in that choke. So like, or then turned it to an armbar and almost snapped his arm off. He's so crafty. I think there's more ways for Paddy Pimblett to figure out a win in this fight than Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler is going to throw heavy bombs. We all know it. He might try to mix in his wrestling, but Paddy's really freaking good on the ground, dude. He could be a submission threat. So I think Chandler's going to get annoyed on standing with Paddy. They're both going to hurt each other. They're both going to crack each other. I think Paddy, I'm trying to see how this one ends. And I don't see an ending by a finish. Is this 5 rounds or 3 rounds? Do we know?
I believe it's 5 rounds, which makes a big
Wow.
difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
That does make a big difference. Because if it goes into the third, fourth round, fifth round, even if Patty wins the first 2 rounds, I kind of like live betting Michael Chandler to win, because those later rounds he could just spark off and land something insane.
Yeah.
I think the whole world is on Patty Pimblett.
I think Roach's comment here sums up exactly what we're saying. Chandler always finds a way to lose.
He's out there to entertain when his opponent is actually serious about winning the fight. Yeah, 5-round fight. I think the world is on Patty Pimblett here. I think it's funny because he's only 12th ranked overall, Chandler being 7th overall, and we're saying if Patty wins here, he's number 1 contender. You know what I mean? He's only really won
No.
King Green. Who was his other win against? Like he picks his fights very, very wisely. You know what I mean? And I think this is a great matchup for him. King Green and Tony Ferguson were his last 2 wins. You know what I mean? So not the hardest level of competition for Patty on his way up into the rankings here. But I still do like the Scouser. I do like it. They compared their fists on a IG press conference or something that they did an interview. Chandler's fists look big, but the knuckles on Patty Pimblett are even bigger, dude. This guy is gonna hurt Michael Chandler. I don't think he's. I think once Patty Pimblett gets hit and understands his power, he's gonna be rocking with it, whatever he doesn't get knocked out. But once Chandler feels the power of Patty Pimblett, I think it's gonna shock him a little bit. Like it's not. I think Patty might have more power than Charles Oliveira has striking power. Ooh, I do think that though. So we'll see what happens here. Arman Sarukian got in a little beef because Patty Pimblett called him out on a podcast, said he was rich, comes from money. And then Arman's replied to that saying, "Yo, if you win against Chandler this weekend, call me out, you clown." I don't think he's going to call out Arman. Nobody wants to fight that guy. He doesn't get a title shot next, but could make sense for Patty versus Arman. But I think legacy in this
Patty
division.
Versus Charles would be fun too.
Yeah, there's Charles, which makes way more sense for legacy. Justin, Dustin, Max Holloway now, Ilya Taporia, Islam Makhachev. There's so many more potential in other guys than fighting an Arman Sarukian. You know what I mean? So I hope Patty wins, and I hope he gets a good matchup next. I don't know how he does it. Maybe submission. Patty by submission is my best bet for this. I wouldn't bet him by decision because I think Chandler could finish him, and I wouldn't bet Chandler money line. I wouldn't bet Chandler by finish. So my most confident bet would be Patty by submission. Just a crafty submission, gets it done, finds a way.
Yeah, we got everyone in the IG comments saying Patty too here. Roland coming in hot saying you casuals think Chandler calls out irrelevant McGregor again. Who's the casual? Nah,
I do think he actually calls out Conor again, dude. He's been talking about it forever. He keeps saying that he's going to call out Conor after he wins this fight, but he's not.
I mean, he only gets to call someone out if he wins, and I don't think he wins. So no.
Yeah, I don't think he wins. Even if they give him the mic after he loses, he'll probably still call out Conor McGregor, which would just honestly be hilarious. I want to see that.
If he calls out McGregor, it's nuts. But if Chandler wins, he has the right to call out basically anyone above him in the division. Like he can call out Arman, which would be a great fight for Arman, bad fight for Chandler, but he could get himself back in that title contention real quick with one more fight after this, because Patty's legit. The UFC loves him. So it's going to be interesting. Mr. DJ Les, I think.
Yeah, DJ Les.
Going to go to the ground, 100% going to the ground, I think, a couple times. But I do think he's going to be on the feet a lot more than people expect because I think Patty can compete. I do think Chandler has a chance. If we're being real, my pick is Patty, but it's a close fight. 100% a closer fight than people think. Like Michael Chandler is still a dog, and he doesn't get knocked out. He'll keep the fight competitive. He'll keep it. The problem is he's more about keeping the fight entertaining than keeping the fight competitive.
Yeah.
That's what he cares about at the end of the day. So that's why I think he's going to lose.
Yeah. I don't think it's looking good for Chandler here.
Yeah, but the odds on this fight are closer than Gene Silva and Bryce Mitchell.
Isn't that wild? Is Michael Chandler from Miami as well? I think he's from around there, from Florida or something like that.
I don't know if he's from Miami. Maybe
I think the crowd's going to be on Patty's side too, which is crazy.
No,
because he's an American dude. Watch. People love
Mike,
Patty the Batty, dude.
I
Oh,
think a lot of people are gonna be there for Patty, but I think like there's just like the casuals going who are like Mr. USA, and I think that there's gonna be a lot of casuals there.
what's up,
What's
Ryan?
up, Ryan?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of casuals there. I also heard Donald Trump's gonna be popping out to this card, which is sick.
yeah.
It's gonna be massive, massive, massive. I don't see him going 5 rounds. This is gonna go 2 rounds and it's over, like always.
Yeah. It says Chandler's from Missouri, but
Okay.
he trains at Kill Cliff, which I don't know where that is. Oh, Florida, yeah. So he is a Florida native.
I mean, Ryan says, yeah, they're going to behind Patty. Casuals behind Patty. The guy didn't know who Volk is, but he knew who Patty was. All right. So I reckon they'll definitely support Patty. I don't know if he's chatting about us, but I definitely know who
No,
Alex Volkanovski is. So
I don't think he meant us. I think he meant the crowd.
okay.
I hope
Oh, the
so. We haven't
crowd.
even gone to Volk yet. We're
Yeah.
about to prove that we know Volk.
Yeah. Volky.
We got Alexander Volkanovski taking on Diego Lopes. Volk coming off of casual guy. Yeah, I feel that, Ryan. I feel that. Appreciate you, bro.
We all know a casual in the friend group. We all have one.
All the friend groups are built around casuals, bro. And then you got a few fucking fans.
Yeah.
Anyways, Volk's coming off of 2 losses, and only has 2 wins in his last fight, but his 2 losses are both by KO, which is very sad. Fight against Islam was the first one was decent. The second one he got knocked out against Ilya Taporia. It was not a pretty sight at all. And he wanted to run it back with Ilya. And I think this is the best thing that could have happened to him, to not run it back with Ilya. Ilya left the division. He's trying to move up to fight Islam. Belt is vacant, which means Volk has a good chance back at it. I think it's a little early for Diego Lopes to have a title fight. Not going to lie. He's got some decent wins. He's got wins against Brian Ortega, Dan Ige, but really like no massive contenders. And I know Brian Ortega is in the top 10 and all that, but I just don't rate him as on that championship caliber anymore, right? So I think beating him, he should have had one more fight at least against a top 5 guy to make it to the championship fight, but he didn't. He's here. Diego Lopes is riding. He is hungry, but I don't see him going 5 rounds. Yeah, that's the thing. Diego Lopes could gas. I think that Diego is a solid striker with a great BJJ game. He's got 10 knockouts and 12 subs in his 26 wins. He does tend to keep the fight on the feet, but he's happy when he goes to the ground because he does have a bit of a submission game there, obviously, with his record. But he only averages half a takedown per fight with a 40% takedown accuracy while only having 50% takedown defense. Volk, on the other hand, is way more well-rounded. He's great on his feet. He's great on the ground. What does he average? Like 2 takedowns a fight? Yeah, 1.78. He's got 70% takedown defense, so he's not getting taken down. I'm fading Jan. Yeah. Anyway, the comments like distract me from where I'm going. I just see everything fucking moving.
Yeah. I'm chatting with them.
Yeah. But man, I don't want to pick a fighter here. I'm not gonna lie. I think Volk wins, and I want Volk to win. But the problem is when I want someone to win, they don't win, and so I think Diego Lopes is gonna win. But I'm rooting for Volk. I think Volk's got it, but he's 36. He's getting older. Diego Lopes looks really good. I'm just worried that Lopes hasn't had a Volk type of opponent ever.
Yeah.
He hasn't fought these top guys, so it's hard to tell. But it seems like I think his gas tank will hold up. I think based on what we saw in his last fight. But yeah, it's a bit of a tough one, especially with Volk coming off of 2 KO losses. Could be a little chinny at 36. That's what Diego Lopes does, is knock people out. So it's tough.
Yeah. The MMA space, we all love Alex Volkanovski. We could all say that we love him. He seems very confident. He said he started his diet 16 weeks and weeks before he started his training camp for this fight. So he says he's the leanest he's ever been in his whole life, eating real, full, natural foods. If you follow Cooking with Volk, this guy eats like an absolute machine, dude. I love Volk. when I first saw this fight, I was like, money line Volk all day, experience all day, gets it done all day. And then I'm just thinking, Samantha, don't bet against the streak. Diego Lopez on a five win streak.
Yeah, 5-5 win streak. I think he lost his UFC debut, and then he won every other fight after that.
Man, oh man, how many times are we gonna do this? Fucking Israel Adesanya. I get my hopes up. Oh, he's loses. Leon Edwards loses. All these guys you think are gonna win, they lose. Alex Volkanovski, he's done it before. He's broken our hearts before. Don't let him break your heart again. Bet Diego Lopez here. If he wins, you win a bunch of money. You feel good. Whatever. New era. If you bet on Alex Volkanovski and he loses and he lets you down again, you know how many tears you're shedding that night? So many tears, bro. So many freaking tears. I cannot put a single penny on Alex the more I look on this. I just can't, dude. Nothing compels me to put money onto Volk here. He's not even plus money. Let's take the underdog, Diego Lopez. If he wins by a knockout, you win a bunch of money.
Double up.
Fuck it. Yeah, the more and more I look at this fight, the reach, just the hunger of Diego Lopez, I think he finds the way to get the finish. Alex Volkanovski's shown that he's everything he's had to show in the UFC, I think. Like, he didn't look how he looked against Max Holloway in that third fight in his last few fights. I think he's just not the same anymore. And it hurts me to say that, but I just don't think he's the same. He has the confidence. Mentally, I'm sure he's in the best mindset he's been throughout his UFC career. Like, he's talking about, oh, they're going to make documentaries on me, the comeback story of they've never had a comeback story the way I have before. He really thinks he's going to be like on this new era where he's like defending the belt, the most active guy in the UFC. It's just all mental, though. It's all in here in his big freaking head. It's not going to happen. Diego's going to get the knockout. I hate it. It's going to happen. But what's more likely? Do you guys really see at the end of this fight, Volkanovski on the mic, I told you I'm the freaking greatest fucking fighter ever. Oh, I'm coming back and defending this title 5 times this year. Do you think he's going to be on the fight after Diego Lopez? Like, mate, I tried my best, mate. And, you know, that's the way she goes. Like, I still want to fight. And Aussie. I think that's more likely than the first one where he's like amped up, got a knockout, calling out everybody, being like, I'm freaking back. As much as I want to see that happen, it's not going to, man. Diego Lopez is the truth. He's going to come in here, get the win. I don't know what's next for Volkanovski, though.
Yeah, this one we got to give a big shout out to Ryan because I was saying the same thing. So we got to stop. We got to not stick to impressions.
Oh, my.
That was a tough one.
I just got the win, mate. I got the win. And, that's not good?
No, it's okay. We'll practice off camera and we'll try again.
Maybe you can teach me. Maybe you want to throw an accent out there?
No, I'm gonna keep it to myself. I don't got impressions either. But
Oh,
I'm
okay,
happy
Mike.
you did. I'm happy you showed the fans what you got.
Okay, Mike.
Might.
Oh man, Diego,
no, I think a couple big comments in here. Well, let's answer Hashology first. Predictions on the Patty fight. Patty's got the win. What about Pitbull and the Mexican guy? That's a crazy way to refer to Yair Rodriguez, but we got Yair Rodriguez winning that one too.
Former Mexican champ, disrespect.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. But and if you ask Brandon Moreno, not official Mexican champ, he doesn't train. I think he grew up in the U.S., right, Yair?
Okay.
And I don't know, was he born in Mexico or did he just live in Mexico a lot or has like Mexican relatives?
Hey, man.
I don't know.
Hey, man.
You don't know shit. I get it.
Hey, man. I don't know.
Rogue Strummer in the comments said, I don't think people want to see Volk as the champ. I certainly don't. I disagree with that. I think I'd love to see Volk as a champ. I'd also love to see Diego Lopez as a champ. But I think Diego Lopez can make it back up to win the championship. This is Volk's last run. Mr. DJ Les said that Volk should retire if he loses after this fight. And as much as I hate to say it, we're falling apart. Press conference in 8 minutes will be done, Ryan. Don't worry. But just to answer Mr. DJ Les, I do think Volk should retire as well. If he loses this
Wow.
fight,
Really?
I don't think there's anything to fight for. I think like just earthquake. I think you gotta call it where it is.
It
Like it
goes.
only gets uglier from there. Can he make another championship run if he loses this fight? Sure, he potentially can, but he's not gonna have. It's not gonna impact his career and his legacy any better, I don't think. And like the downfall of him continuing to lose, it's kind of like Anderson Silva at the end of his career. It's like, or like Tony Ferguson, even just fucking retire, bro.
Or
You keep
Israel
losing.
Adesanya now, like, geez, we see it from every freaking guy who's at the top. Their game plan gets figured out. These young
Yeah.
guys come in and they knock them out and they hold the throne. But I think this is good for the UFC. Like, whoever wins this fight isn't going to hold up the division. You know, they're going to take
No,
another
both of
fight.
these guys like to fight.
Yeah, they like to fight. You know, Ilia Topuria doesn't want to fight a Diego Lopez. He doesn't want to fight Alex Volkanovski again because he knows he already put Alex Volkanovski away the best way possible. He knocked him out. Like if he wins a decision against Volkanovski, that doesn't change anything for Ilya's legacy, right? So now he changed his nickname as the legend, and now he's just going for fights that help his legacy, like Oliveira, Makachev. He wants like probably a Gaethje or just these people who like help his legacy grow, which is just annoying because if you just defended your belt against Diego Lopez and Volk again and these guys at the top of the division, Movzar, you could go down as the greatest featherweight of all time. But now Ilia Topuria is kind of up in the air. I don't know where his legacy is going to go. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe we'll just remember him as the guy that knocked out Max Holloway and Alex Volkanovski. I don't think he comes back down and gets the title again unless he does it ASAP.
No, he's got to beat Islam first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I don't think he's going to beat Islam, dude. I think Islam's been pound for pound for like 3-4 years now. He's hard to beat.
Yeah, I agree. We got a Hashology in the chat saying Jean Silva KO, Diego Lopez finish, Patty finish, Yair win. That's a certified bet, lads. And I couldn't agree more.
Where do you say that?
It's in the IG chat.
Okay, IG.
Yeah, but I think that's a fair parlay. Lopez by finish, Patty finish, Jean Silva KO, like all could happen.
I like those.
And Yair winning. I like that because I think your fight could go to decision there too. So yeah.
Yeah, I could run you back through my picks really quickly. I got Chase Hooper, I got Verna Jaroba, Sean Woodson, all money line, and then I got Nikita Krylov knockout, Jean Silva knockout, Yair Rodriguez decision, Patty Pimblett by submission, Diego Lopez by finish, KO.
I like that. I
think
the only fight we're different on is Nikita Krylov and Dominic Reyes. I think Dom could get the win.
And this main event, you have you're sticking with Volk.
No, I think I'm going with Diego. I want Volk to win, but I think Diego wins. That's why I don't want to bet on it.
Hey, and if I lose some money on Volkanovski winning, I am not mad at that, dude.
No,
I'm not mad.
It's one of those things.
Back and be like, wow, he's actually great. He's actually great. But I don't want to sit back and watch him get knocked out and be like, so sad. I just lost all my money. And I just can't go through another night like that. It happens to me so often at these UFC cards, rooting for the guy. I put my heart in him. I put everything on the line with them, and then they lose and let me down. Like, if I ever met Alex Volkanovski, it's probably likely that he would be it's probably likely that he would be around Israel Adesanya. And if I saw both of those guys who I respect and love so much, and as a fan, I'm like, both these fighters lost me like 10 grand. It wouldn't be the same experience meeting them in person. So that's why I'm going to fade Alex Volkanovski, put my money on Diego. If Alex wins or loses, whatever, I could still love him and respect him as a fan. I can't, like, if I meet him one day, be like, oh, this motherfucker lost me all my money because he's old and took all these fights that were bad for him. So I don't want to have that with Volk. I want him to stay as peaceful and loving. I have such a good relationship in my head with Volk. We're best buddies. So we're going to keep it that way.
Best buddies. Never met him.
That way. Never met him. Great guy.
Ryan's got a
subscriber.
A good comment here. I think y'all underrating Volk's chin. Ilya kills anyone at 145 and 155. I agree with you. I'm not underestimating his chin because I think he's got a great chin. I'm just worried that he's got back-to-back knockouts and that affects your chin. You know, if those aren't in the mix, I don't think Diego Lopez is knocking him out. But it's tough when you're coming off of back-to-back KOs. And I know he's had a year layoff, but I don't know if that's enough time.
It's tough when there's film of you out there getting knocked out and it's your most recent fights. So like Diego has a lot of film he could study and find a mistake in his game. Oh, something that I forgot to mention about this fight that I hate about Diego Lopes so much. He has a tick in his fights where he always goes like this. He'll be fighting and he's grabbing at his throat like this. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've seen it before. I know exactly what you're talking
He
about.
does that so many times during the fight. If he does that for fucking 25 minutes versus Volkanovski, I think Volk could figure out a way to like make that a huge mistake. You know what I mean? If Diego's constantly picking at his throat like this, as he always does, maybe Volkanovski takes advantage of that. That's the only way I could see Volkanovski winning.
Yeah.
Is from Diego making a sloppy mistake like that.
Well, that's everything. I know the press conference is coming up right now, so I know everyone's going to be leaving to watch that right away. Next week there's no fights, which is very unfortunate. If y'all want us to go live, we'll 100% go live next Thursday. If you guys want us to come chat about the next few events, just let us know in the comments right now if you guys want us to go live. But other than that, April 26th is the next fight. It's gonna be Kansas City. We got Ian Gary taking on Carlos Paredes, which is gonna be a sick fight. But yeah, that's 2 weeks away. Unfortunate break next week, but we appreciate y'all.
Wow.
I'll be here. Hashology, you're the fucking goat. We'll go live Thursday. We'll talk.
You know what's crazy? There's no
What's
UFC
up?
next week, which means we've had UFC for the past 10 weeks in a row, guys. 10 weeks of UFC in a row. This next week will be 11 weeks of UFC in a row. And this has been like the start of my journey of posting content as well. Like 10 weeks ago is when I did my first live stream. So like we kind of made it past like this first stretch of UFC fights, which is pretty cool. Pretty awesome.
Yo, Ryan, you want us to put on a press conference watch party, bro?
Yeah.
Let's watch it together.
You know, Jeremy in the chat said place 2 units on your year money line and Ige versus Woodson over 2.5 rounds. Ooh, yeah, I like that a lot. I think Sean Woodson wins a decision, and I have Yair winning a decision. So that's a good bet, brother. Good bet.
Yeah.
Who is my 5-star?
Appreciate you, Rob,
Give
as
us
always.
our 5-star bets here. You want to go first?
5-star bets. Fuck, man. There's so many pick'ems. I feel like the true 5-star bet is Patty Pimblett beating Michael Chandler. I feel like that's a lock, honestly. I think Gene Silva has got potential. I put Gene Silva at like a 3.5, 4-star bet because there is a way for him to lose, but I do think he gets the win. But yeah, it's going to be some interesting fights. Who do you got as your 5-star?
You're not going to like it. Nikita of Krylov, knockout.
5-star. That's crazy, bro. The chat's even been saying that the finish is a better bet because there's submission potential.
Early knockout for Krylov over Dominic Reyes. I think he is chinny, dude. He's
got more submissions than knockouts, bro.
Reyes gets knocked out. Reyes gets freaking knocked out, and he's gonna get knocked out here again. I see it already, dude. First round, they're clinched up against the cage. You know how Yuri got him out of there with an elbow or something, like a spinning elbow. Krylov could do the exact same thing. Krylov is powerful. He's more power, more speed, more experience. I think he outclasses Dominic Reyes.
2-year layoff, bro. 2-year layoff is my thing here.
Gonna expose him. But that's my 5-star bet. And then I also like
I think Verna is a 5-star bet.
Verna. You read my mind. I really love Verna.
Oh, Hooper. Yeah. Hashology in the chat. Hooper fighting Miller.
Yeah, Hooper's a 5-star.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. That's a 5-star for sure. But he's like -800.
You make no money there. Yeah, you make no money.
Yeah. Miller for the KO. No.
Never that. Never betting that.
Never
that. Put a penny on that. But hey, those are our best bets. Those are our 5-star bets, bro. Anything else you want to wrap up?
Nah, appreciate y'all. Awesome, appreciate all the support. Every week we see more of you guys joining. We really do appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back next week, 3 p.m. Central. Appreciate y'all.
And then I'll be live watching the fights around 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Central time on Saturday. So coming. I'm probably going to be drinking during this live, so it's going to be more fun for you guys to like. I'll be placing bets, drinking. It's going to be a blast. So join on Saturday if you guys are watching the fights. Put me on in the corner or whatever with your buddies and cheer on these fights with me. But yeah,
maybe I'll join in with the boys. Do a little live appearance.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Hell yeah.
Maybe I'll be live with the boys. Maybe I'll set up in my corner and just have the live going and do it, and the boys in the background. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll chat more about that. Anyways, Instagram just disconnected. So peace out, YouTube. What a stream. Thank you.
Guys.